G'day guys, welcome to today's video, and today's video is going to be a bit special, a bit different from what I've usually been doing. So I put up a little community post a little while ago, and I had this picture of a little off-road rally car. Now this was something that was given to me by one of the members of the model aircraft club that I go to, and this is something really cool. So it's a Kyosho off-road car, and I can't really say it's a buggy, but it's not a car. It's off-road, but it's, let's face it, instead of me just flapping my gums here, let's just go straight over and look at it. It is really cool, and from what I can see, it's never been used. So let's go and have a look. And here it is, guys. So what this is, it is a Kyosho Ford RS200. And this, I've been doing a bit of research on the internet and actually managed to find a PDF of the instruction manual. And from what I can gather, I mean, someone might be a bit more knowledgeable than me on this particular car, but from what I can gather, this thing came out in 1988, so it's almost as old as me. And it's a bit dusty. As you can see, there's some imperfections in the paint. Like I said, it is old, and from what I can tell, it's never been used. And the reason why I say that is we'll take off the body here to have a look, because there's no holes in the body, apart from the paint cracking because of its age. There's no scratches on the body. The tires, I mean, even the tires, the tires aren't glued, but they're not perished or anything like that. But we'll take it off. So this is underneath the shell. So as you can see, I mean, like I said, apart from some dust, it is all pristine. And there's the servos look to be in good working order. Yeah, this is something. Even as like the engine still turns over, it's not seized. And if we have a look underneath here, as you can see, there are absolutely no scratches on the chassis. Now, one of the really cool things about this car, from what I can see, is it has a center differential, or it could be a one-way bearing, but this chassis is both shaft driven and belt driven. And I know some of you are probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Well, here, so we have the engine dead in the middle here, and we have a shaft that goes here. But if we have a look closely, as I move it, you can see there's a belt that drives the front diff there, and it's the same situation here. There's a belt here that drives the rear diff, that drives the rear wheels. And from what I can tell, it's a Kyosho engine. Some of these, from what I've been reading, actually came with an OS 10, but this is a Kyosho GS11 engine. The The air filter looks like it's seen better days, and it came without a radio or batteries or things like that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get this up and running. Now, I know some of you would be absolutely screaming at your screen right now saying, no, don't do it, leave it as it is. I can understand where some of you will be coming from. However, I'm not going to be getting something like this and bashing it, as a particular British YouTuber has been seen doing on some of his videos. I'm not going to name names, but you probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to be doing that. I will get it up and running. I will give it a drive around. I will not be cutting any holes into the body. It'll only just be a little drive around just to see how it goes, and I will put it away. But first of all, what we will do is, one of the first things I want to do with this is check the engine, just to make sure everything's nice and clean. There's no rust or anything like that. And you can really tell that the age of this car with looking at the fuel tank here, because as you can see, it's not a flip lid, it is a screw top lid. And the cool thing too is it actually has a little screen in there for filtering the fuel, so that's pretty cool. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go over this off camera and give it a service. I'm going to clean and check the shocks. I'm going to refill the shocks. I'm going to make another filter element because this thing is, well, it's seen better days. It's really hard, and yeah. So I'm going to, unfortunately, the original filter element here is going to be discarded, because as soon as I try to pull this off, you can see it's starting to pull apart. So unfortunately, that's probably going to be the only original thing that's going to be discarded. So what I'll do, like I said, off camera, I will give this a once over, but we'll have a look at the engine on camera and we'll go from there, guys. Well, guys, I can honestly say this has to be the most immaculate vintage RC car, especially Nitro car, that I've ever had, whether I bought it or was given it. Now, looking at the engine, I don't know if you can see if it's showing it well enough on the camera, but the oil is, there's like green oil. By the looks of things, I'm not sure if it's after run oil that's gone a different color, or this has been run at some point. And if it was run, it was probably only run for a few minutes. However, in saying that, I mean, it looks like to be a little bit of residue or something like that in the tank, like you can see. But looking inside the engine here, it is absolutely immaculate. I mean, because with nitro fuel, no matter how much after run oil you put on it, there will be some form of surface rust on the crankshaft, and like around the bearing area. It looks like there's, I'm trying to get it into the light so you can see, but it's just immaculate. Even the engine does, I have a feeling the engine has been run, but for a small amount of time. Yeah, it was probably run for maybe a couple of times up and down the driveway, and that was it. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to reassemble the engine I'm going to clean the top of the piston there because there looks like a bit of dust residue on the top of the piston. I'll clean that carefully with some microfiber cloth. I'm going to reassemble the engine, and I'm then going to go over it and clean the chassis, and we're going to see if this thing will start. So stay tuned, guys. Alrighty, guys, so I have gone over it. I have reassembled the engine. I put after run oil through the engine before I assembled it, and really what I use for after run oil, this is it here. It's Dextron 3 automatic transmission fluid. Doesn't matter what brand, Castrol, Valvoline, whatever tickles your fancy, but that's what I use for after run oil. I've been using that for years and I've not had any issues. Anyway, that's beside the point. I put that through the engine just to give it a little added lubrication before I do its very first startup. Now, I have put my Futaba 3PV radio in for this, so I have a small antennaless receiver. Now, given the age of this model, I'm not too sure how these it's got JRNES 517 servos. I'm not sure if they're what they're like voltage wise. So on the side of caution, I have, instead of putting something like a 6.6 volt Lifey pack in, I have decided to put a Sanyo inner loop pack in. It's a 4-cell pack, so it's 4.8 volt instead of 6, just to be on the side of caution, like I said, just to make sure that the servos don't burn out. I would hate for this to have a runaway. I've also put some new fuel tube in from the tank to the carb. I was going to do it for the pressure line, as you can see here. However, that's it. There's no little nipple thing on the tank or anything like that on the muffler. It just slides in like so. Now, I know some of you might have a giggle at this, but this is what I used to do when I was younger, when air filter elements just would perish away, because here's the original air filter element. As you can see, it is torn away. It's done. So what I've done is I just got some foam, cut a rough circle, oversized, and so that way it can be packed in, and that just holds it on. I'm not going to put air filter oil on it, purely because I'm only going to give this model a short run, just to make sure that it does start and does run, and we'll have a little bit of a run around. And yeah, now when it comes to fuel, I'm not going to be using any high nitro content. I'll just be using some 10% nitro that I run on my model aircraft. It's also a fairly high oil content as well, as you'll for those of you who are a lot younger than I am, and especially cars around this era, they required a lot of oil for lubrication, just technology and metallurgy and things like that. they needed a lot of oil for lubrication and also cooling as well, because it's a different kind of cooling head, as you can see. So what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to I'm going to get this set up, put some fuel in it, and we'll start it up, or hopefully start it up. I'll need to replace the glow plug as well. Hopefully we have a successful start. So through the magic of editing, we'll see if this thing will start. Alright, so we have the car on a stand here. Now, if ever you buy or are given a nitro powered car that is second hand, whether or not it has been used or not, it's always good to reset the needle, like your tuning needle, back to factory settings. And usually it's 3 turns out from close, so you turn it in to lean and you turn it out 3 turns from closed, so to richen it, and that's usually the factory settings. So what we'll do now is, I'm not going to use the radio, however I'm just going to prime it, and the primer button still works, which is good. And then we close the throttle back to idle. Now this is where it gets interesting. I've got to turn it around. I might turn it on its side here because I don't really want, I suppose it doesn't really matter if I get a little bit of muck on the table here. I can always clean it off, not that it's actually clean. So the engine is primed. Make sure, if you're not using your radio, if it's turned off, make sure that the throttle is at an idle setting, and let's see what happens, guys. I kind of expect this to happen. I might do this on the floor, on the ground, so it's not going to damage the table. Okay, so it seems to have hydrolocked, so what I'll do is I'll take the plug out. Oh yeah. Okay. Just make sure that that plug's alright. Oh yeah. Because it's not a brand new plug, it's just not one that's rusty. Now when you feel it start to hydrolock, don't try and force it because you can break the pull starter. Okay, I might close this half a turn. Alright, so what I might do is I might give it a little bit of throttle and see how we go. Ooh, there we go. Alright. might give it a bit more throttle. It's been ages since I've used a pull start. Now it might be too rich, or the plug might not be very good, I'll see. But she started. Alright guys, give me a moment. What I'm going to do is I'll be back and I'm going to put a brand new plug in. Alright guys, so I have put a brand new OS number 8 in. I didn't have any hot plugs. I might have to get a few, but we'll see how this goes. Weird. Not sure if this valve here is working properly, because I'm giving it throttle and nothing's really happening. I might see if I close it half a turn again, so it's 2 turns out. Now we'll go back, give it a bit of throttle. This is probably the first time in many years that it's been started. Okay. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here. We know we can get it started, and I'm guessing this valve here on the muffler might have something to do with it. I don't know, but I'm going to have a look at it. I'm going to have a look at the online instructions that I downloaded, and I'll be back. Alright guys, I have managed to get it running to where it's happy. What we're going to do is we're just going to give it a small run with the body on. I don't want to do it for too long because I don't want the engine to overheat, as there's no holes in the shell and I want to keep it that way. So we'll get it started. I only got the one body clip on it, so the body's flapping about a little. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. So that was the only running I was going to do with this car. It did take a little bit to get it running. I kind of expected that from this car. One, because of its age. Two, because it's been sitting for such a long time and I'm pretty sure it has been run. And so the residue that was left in there took a while to flush out through it. But yeah, and I only ran it for a short period because I knew the engine was going to get a little bit hot with the body on and no holes cut in it, because I want to keep this body as is. And look, it's not a fast car, and like I said, this thing's from the 80s. It wasn't designed for speed. This was really designed for just like an enthusiast to just have a muck around and enjoy. So that's the end of this video, guys, and honestly, you'll never see this thing run again. I just wanted to give it a run, see if it ran, and it does. And what will happen now is I'll give this shell a clean, and I'm gonna, like, even with the paint defects and everything, I'm just gonna leave it as is, and it's just going to be an ornament. So there's a little bit of fuel left in the tank. I'm gonna drain it, start the engine, run it dry, and then I'm going to fill the engine with afterrun oil. And it's just going to be, like I said, an ornament piece just to look at. So that's the end of this video. If you've enjoyed it, let me know. If you have any comments, don't hesitate to comment. I'll do my best to respond to them. And until then, guys, enjoy your hobby and cheers.